bring in now Senator Mike Braun, Republican from Indiana, and a member of the Budget Committee. Senator, good morning. Thanks for being on.
Good to be on.
It doesn't look like any Senate Republican is going to be voting for this bill, but I have to ask your own constituents, 60% almost of GOP voters, according to a new Morning Consult poll, actually favor this COVID relief bill. Why ignore them?
So when you take that across the country and you look what's in this bill, where there's something for everyone, I think when you look at a place like Indiana, I spoke to the governor just a couple weeks ago and said, hey, do you need it? We had a big rainy day fund cash reserve in place pre-COVID. We were the lowest in the Midwest in unemployment level, great business climate. I've lived there and built a business over 37 years prior to coming here. And Hallie, the difference is it's so different by region. In the places where you had a real austere approach to COVID, before I left in March, said we got to be careful, respect the disease, also watch how you handle the economic ramifications. And a place like Indiana is nearly back to full employment. I visited restaurateurs and their employees upset about maybe minimum wage changing, where that's working so well for them. So places like Indiana, I can tell you my constituents don't want to borrow more money. The governor affirms that. The only thing we have to replenish is our unemployment fund. Everything else is done well because we had a good business climate, great economy. 8 of the 10 states benefiting from the state and local government package. Top 3, New York, New Jersey, California, the hardest, longest shutdowns. And that's why it's different across the country.
That is, I understand that's a common talking point from the GOP. Red and blue states, as you well know, both benefit or would benefit from this COVID relief bill. But I have to ask, when you talk about Indiana being in good shape, other states around the country simply are not. You've got targeted relief here for low-income people, more unemployment insurance, child tax credit. You talk about not wanting to spend more. Spending more was okay for members of your party back in the Trump administration when there was no discussion or very little discussion about the deficit. Why is it a problem now?
I am for all of what you just said because you modified it with targeted. From the get-go, those most in need, small businesses, should have been helped even to a greater degree. But this is only 9% towards COVID-related stuff. A lot of it has nothing else to do with it.
That's actually not true, Senator. I don't want to have to go into a fact check back and forth with you here, but for the broad impact, I just want to make sure our viewers are clear here, for the broad impact of the economic impact, for other issues related to what we've seen in this pandemic, there is far more than 9% in that bill. So let me I just want to keep it focused here because I do think there's an interesting political strategy at play here. One of your colleagues, as you know, Senator Ron Johnson, asked that the bill be read into the very wee hours of the morning, right? Yet, at the same time, there's supposed to be 20 hours of debate. There's now only 3 hours of debate on this bill. Can you help me understand the political strategy on that, why you think that might be beneficial to the GOP, or do you not? Do you disagree with what Senator Johnson did?
No, I think that was to punctuate it and make a point. Number one, when you get a bill that large, that comprehensive, you need more time to do it. They're obviously trying to push this through quickly. We studied and did 5 bills bipartisan back, before. So here, I think that is different. Most of the articulation of what's in it is going to be done in media. While 3 hours of debate is not enough, if that's what we ended up with, I didn't know that until right now. And back years ago, you used to spend a lot more time on a lot less money. And Hallie, all I can tell you, I don't disagree with a lot of what you're intending to do. I want to help those who need it the most. I believe in raising a minimum wage. If you kind of regionalize it, have a starting wage involved in there, just not one size fits all, and doing things regardless of the cost. We're borrowing every penny of it. When I got here, 20 trillion in debt, the size of our economy. We're soon to be 30 trillion after this gets through. You cannot keep doing things like that and expect this place to be there for all the people that come here and that are dependent upon it. It doesn't make sense to me.
So let me let another one of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle rebut that point, if you will. Here's Senator Chris Murphy on the very issue that you're bringing up, the idea that this is too expensive. Watch.
It's a little hard to listen to my Republican colleagues claim that this bill is too expensive when they were willing to spend the exact same amount of money in 2017 on tax cuts for their wealthy corporate and millionaire friends.
Tax cuts were just as expensive. There was no pandemic. There was no immediate economic crisis to address then. Why the change of heart for your party?
All I can tell you is when that occurred, we were creating an economy that was actually raising wages the old-fashioned way by competing for labor in the hardest places. African-American wages, minority wages across the board. We as a company—
The very communities, as you know, who are still struggling, as we just saw in the jobs report out this morning.
Targeted relief at anyone that wasn't participating then, especially accentuated by COVID, I'd be for. And by the way, it was $1.5 trillion over 10 years. The CBO was getting ready to tell us that we had record revenues, but we were spending record amounts of money. And that's why we were still having a structural $1 trillion deficit. There's always a bigger story to this. It was the best economy. There are very few of us here, and I don't know if Chris Murphy could say it. I don't know if he's ever run anything or had a business. I slogged along for many years with a small one, built it into a national company, and what was working pre-COVID, what I see from the Obama-Biden years ago, and what I see from the Biden-Harris approach, we're going to have bigger problems down the road because you're taking away some of the benefits that were accruing to the entirety of the country.
I'm almost out of time, and I want to get you on some of the security concerns at the Capitol, though I will note that many economists point out that the reason why the Trump administration was successful in its economic efforts was because of what was put in place from the administration prior. But let me ask you about the security situation. As you know, the Capitol Police want members of the National Guard to stay in place at the Capitol for another couple of months. You know the Hill well. You know I know the Hill well. Do you think this is a necessary move? Is it something that you support?
I'm sure the Capitol Police, with what happened on January 6th, would want to err on the side of precaution. Almost every senator that I've talked to, haven't spoken to many on the House side, think that we're at the point where it's overkill. The perimeter up, most guardsmen, I'm sure, would love to get back to their home states. And anything palpable, tangible, I've not talked to one senator where there's been a threat, and that would get around. Now, I understand that might be different on the House side. Again, it's costing maybe $500 million for the time that you'd keep them here for another 2 months at the level that they're asking for. I think that's beyond what's needed, and I think that's reflected in a bipartisan way.
Senator Mike Braun, I appreciate your perspective on that. Thank you, as always, for coming on the show. Appreciate it.